Hey everybody, today what we're going to do is dimension a multi-view. So if you notice the image that we're going to do, this object here, this is called the guide block. See the name right here? Okay. So the first thing, of course, when we're looking at a multi-view, if you remember, we got to determine how many features we have on the object. So we pretend like this is just a solid block of material here and nothing's been done to it. So how many things have to be done to this to make it look like it? Well, we got to cut this channel or slot out right here. So where do we see that from? Well, we see that best shape here. That's going to be our front, okay? It's a U shape. And of course, a lot of times, our biggest dimension, actually about 99% of the time, our biggest dimension will be the width, okay? So that's going to be our front view, which is good. Well, look, we've got another slot cut here. So what we've got here, this is the right side. If this is the front, this will be the right side. So we've got to draw it because that's where it's visible. Okay? Now, here we have two holes. And they're visible from the top looking down. So we're going to have to draw three views of this object. Ironically, on this image from this textbook that I'm using, notice what they've done here. In the background, they start sketching out and laying out, and it's kind of like a little cheat sheet for you. They tell you how many views you need to draw if you look at it carefully. A lot of people never notice this, even though it's that obvious, okay? I did put a note down here if you haven't noticed. This image is just a little fuzzy. You know, this is easy to read right here because of the 0.7, but some of these numbers, if you notice, you look at it and go, 125, is this metric? No, these are all decimals in between these. So your number values, these are halves, okay? This is 1.5, 1.5, there's another 1.5, 1.25, 2.5, okay? So they're all 1 point, like right there, 1.25, okay? So, and again, that's what this note is. One thing we do want to clarify here, because this is the first time we've done this, we've got two holes. So when we go to dimension, we need to make sure that we dimension everything. Well, we can put, if this here, this is 2x. Now, a lot of people think, oh, I need to double the size of this because that's what that says. No, we're not going to make this a 1.5 inch diameter. 2x means quantity. So there's two of these. And of course, 1, 2. The quantity will always go in front of the symbol, no matter what we're doing. The other way we could have done this is we could have come out behind this and write TYP period, or down below it, either one. But with just two of them, or if they're just holes, let's use a quantity. It's easier, it's cleaner, it makes more sense. Okay? All right, so let's get to drawing. Again, make sure you're on your object layer. This thing goes really smooth and really quick, so we go into the line command. It's 5 inches wide, it's 1.5 inches tall. So I'm going to start right here, go over 5 inches. Now look, it sort of runs me off the screen. This is bigger than my picture, isn't it? Okay, up 1.5, back over, we can hover here, back up, click, back down, okay? Now, we do start with a box. Once you get to the point that you feel really comfortable, you could just draw the shape. You don't have to draw the box if you don't want to. But, if right now you may still want to. And when we look at this, we realize that this thing is symmetrical. So if we drew it by doing it the other way, and if I started, I'm going to come down here and draw another one just like it. So we start down, it's 1.5 inches tall. Oops, look, angled line. Remember, if you ever get that, use the undo inside of the command, not this one, okay? That's the whole command. This is just the sub thing. What did I do wrong? I drew the line accidentally at an angle. See, now I'm back free. All right, so 1.5, over, 5, up, and of course 1.5, or I can come over and hover either one. So 1.5 again. Now look, go over 1/2 inch. Now how far down does it go? Remember, it's 1/2 inch down. So we go down 1/2 inch. Now going back, this is where you would have to do a little math, or you'd just have to know. Or we could back it up. I could draw to here and back it up in a minute. But I know that it's 1 inch short of the actual width if I take the half over here and the half over here. So it's 4 inches wide between them. And then back up and over and click. So see, I could do that instead of doing this and coming over and trimming and all that other good stuff. Okay? So, but whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm going to go ahead and erase this one. And I'm going to move this one up a little bit. Actually, I don't have to. I'm just going to do it for the fun of it. Okay, so there is the start of my front view. That's all I can see visibly. Now, I do recommend that you draw everything you can see visible in all three of the views, then do your hidden lines. Some people want to put in hidden lines as they go. That's fine if you're comfortable with that. Some people are not. So it's just according to what you want to do. But remember, we can project between views as far as where things go. So either one works fine for me. So the depth of this object is 2.5. Now here's something we are going to do different. We're going to start with 2 inches between the views. So I'm hovering there, going up 2 inches to start. Again, 5 inches wide, 2.5 tall. Hover, drag up. There it is. Click, drag back down. There we go. So now look, see the rectangle here on the top and the rectangle here? Of course, that lines up with this edge. So I can go ahead, I can just hover here, drag straight up, click, straight up, click. I could mirror it. It's just as quick to draw another one while I'm inside that command. So there's that. So just that quick, there's that laid out. Now we can see the holes from the top view, right? Now look what we've got. 1 1/4 in, 1 1/2 between them, and 1 1/4 this way. Okay? So let's go ahead and draw a center line. Now, it's 2.5 deep. This is where you need to get to the point that you're starting to recognize things. 1 1/4 is half of 2.5. That should be one of them things that pops in your mind. So I can work from the midpoint of this line because that's measured from here, okay? Now, when we do our dimensions, we're not going to measure from here, but right now, that's the number they gave us. So I'm just going to go to line. Yes, I'm still in object layer. I'm going to go here. I'm going to drag over, and I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to draw this all the way across, okay? Now, you ask, why? Well, I've got a reason. Okay, I don't have to do that. You know, I could come over this far and go 1.25 and stop right there. Okay, and that would be the center point of that. And then I could come on over here and say 1.5, and that would be the center of that circle. But I've got 2 separate lines. Well, we can work with that too. You know, at this point, I do go ahead and I want to put these on the center line layer because I want to know I've got that done. That way I don't forget. All right, so let's go to circle. Let's go to diameter just to make it easy. Of course, that end point is my midpoint. It's 0.75, and I started in diameter, so there it is. I need another one just like it over here. I could do the very same thing, or I can go copy some end point, because it was the end point of the line, to the end point of the line, and there they are. They're in the right place, okay? Now, these are 2 separate lines. We don't need that. Just click, drag across both of them. You'll drop down here and hit the join button. Now they're one line. Okay? So remember our distances. The center line should stick 1/4 of an inch out past the circular feature. So I'm going to grab it, drag it back to here, drag it back out, 0.25. Now, these are on the same plane, nothing between them. I would like to keep that for reference. So now I'm going to drag over 0.25 there. So see what I've did? That's one solid line. I'm 1/4 of an inch past here and 1/4 of an inch past here. Okay, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All right, now back in the line. I need one this way. And again, if your math is working pretty good, you could do this in your head. Because this is a 0.75 diameter, another 1/4 each way. Well, 1/4 will give me an inch, another 1/4 will give me an inch and 1/4. So I'm going to hover here, I'm going to drag up. I know I did a little math, that's okay. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to, oops, look what it did. It jumped on me. So let's go back in and try it again. Okay, let's get this quadrant. Now let's drag up, okay? Right there, 0.25. Okay, so let's try that now. So I'm gonna go to line, I'm gonna hover here, and I'm gonna drag up, and I'm gonna say start that up above it, 0.25. See, there's that point, okay? Notice I didn't click here, I just hovered. Now I'm gonna drag down, and like I said, I know this line's going to end up being 1 1/4 inches long, okay? Now the other way of doing that, let me get rid of it. The other way of doing that is I can start here and drag down. This is the old-fashioned way, and I've done this a lot. Drag this point down now 1/4, drag this point up 1/4. Yes, that keeps you from doing your math, okay? So while it's highlighted, let's go ahead and change that layer too to center, okay? And it is long enough to convert it into a center line. I don't like the fact that this crosshair is not here, but remember, AutoCAD calculates from the end of this line to the end of this line and puts the number of breaks in it that it needs. It doesn't care that it's not in the middle of the circle. If we were drawing by hand, we would make sure it was done correctly. Okay, we need one of these just like it over here. I'm just going to use the copy command. I could use the mirror command. Either one would work. So there, I selected my object. I'm going to use the midpoint of that line because it's exactly halfway between. Oh, see what I did? I was going to use the mirror, had mirror command ideas in my mind even though I'm using copy. Let's do it right. Copy. There we go. Now, midpoint, or center point, sorry, center point. There. Now they're in the right place. Okay? There's that one done. That's all we can see from there. How about the right side? Same thing. I'm going to hover, drag over 2 inches, and then say, that's my first point. Okay, now look here. Same thing again. Half inch, 1.5. We know that's a half inch there. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw it out instead of using the box. But you can use the box if you would prefer. 0.5, 0.5, 1.5. Back down again, I can just hover and drag across, click, over, 0.5. And now, how tall is the whole thing? Do you remember? Well, look, you don't have to remember. Come here and hover, drag across, click, back across, hover, drag up, click, click. So there, everything that I can see visibly, and my center lines for the circles up top, the holes, are done. So now let's go to our hidden lines. We could draw in the object layer and change it to center layer just like we did the lines previously, or we can do what we're supposed to do and change to the hidden layer. Line, hover, we can't see this here, so we have to draw it in, okay, as a hidden line. And that goes all the way across. Now remember here, people always ask me, how far back does that slot go? If we're not given any information, we automatically assume it goes all the way through it. Same thing with holes. If you're not given a depth information, automatically assume they go all the way through, okay? When they hit air, you're done, okay? Well, now look, we've got that across there. Go back into the line command. I'm just going to right click because line was the last command I was in. Now watch this. I'm going to hover here and drag back this way and click because we can't see that surface here. Some people want to talk about the corners. You know, they're saying that line represents that corner, that edge. That's okay. If you want to say surface, that's okay too. Either one's fine. All right, how about the holes? We can't see them. Now, remember, where does the hole start? Where does the hole end? So line, let's start on our quadrant. Now, notice I'm not clicking. Okay, I'm going to use that as my reference. Now, drag straight down, click. Now, where does it end? We've got air down here. A lot of people want to bring that all the way down to here. There's nothing down there because we're in the middle of this slot here. So it ends right there. Okay, that's as far as that hole goes because there's air here and there's air under here. See the hole, the slot? Okay, now we need one more at each quadrant all the way across. Again, copy works. You can draw them, either one. I don't care. Okay, you can just about draw them as quick if you'll hover and drag down. I'm trying to do it too quick for it to establish. Okay? And we can do it pretty quick. All right, now, watch this. I'm going to go copy. I'm going to grab this center line, get it at the quadrant, come straight down, click right there. Okay? Now, we know that's 1/4 of an inch up, but look here. This looks a little long, so we're going to drag back to here. Now, we're going to drag down and say 0.25, and let's see. Yep, sure enough, it was too long. But remember, it has to be the right length for AutoCAD to be able to put the break in it. All a computer is and all a program is like this is just a huge calculator. It does things by numerical values. So when it's not long enough, it can't put the break in it. So that is a center line. Watch, when I click on it, look, center. It's on the right layer. The line types are correct, everything. It's just not going to do it yet. Okay? So there's that. Now I need one just exactly like it here. Again, I'm not going to redraw that. I'm going to use the mirror command. I'm going to come right here, click, drag across. That was a pick window instead of a crossing, so everything had to be inside the blue box. Now it says select midpoint. I just want the center somewhere. I could use any of these lines. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one. It doesn't matter. I'm going to click there, drag straight down, click. No, I don't want to get rid of my source object. So click. There we go. Now, I need one here. Okay. Now remember, the miter line. And this is something that works so well, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and show you a miter line. It really doesn't matter what layer I'm in, but a miter line is a 45-degree line that we can project from here to here. And you've used it before, but we're going to do it again. I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag across. I'm going to come right here, up, Where's my green? There it is. Click there. Now, I'm just doing this for reference to show you that these line up. Because remember, when we rotate around, when we take this front end, rotate to the right, then this is our right view. This is the back of the object. When I rotate around to see the top, this is the back of the object. So see, back, back, it lines up. Okay? Look like this, top, top, it lines up. So, this is the point that we need to draw the 45 from. If it's done correctly, it would hit at the top corner of the front view, if it was a solid piece. So there we go, okay? So again, now we could come here, we could hover, we can click if we want to, it doesn't matter. Drag across, click, drag down, click, there we go, that's the edge of the hole. We could do the same thing here, click, click, drag down, click. We could even do the same thing here, okay? Click, click, drag down, click, and it's going to be in the middle. All right, we've got a lot of lines going on, so most of the time when I get what I need, I'll get rid of what I want, okay, and just leave what I want to clean up. Now, I'm going to show you one more quick way of doing that. Instead of doing that, we could have went line, hover, drag across, then click and down, okay? Same thing here, drag across, click for the first point there, same thing to center point. You could do the center point in the middle if you wanted to, okay? Of course, this one's got to change to center line. It's got to be longer. We got to trim, all that good stuff. Okay, so that's one way of getting it. If you've got a whole lot of detail, that's a good way of doing it. Okay? There's another way of doing it, though. Okay, so let's undo that. This is one, again, if you're thinking logically, that's exactly what it's going to look like. See? Hidden line at the quadrant, hidden line to quadrant, center line. This is exactly what it's going to look like over here. Well, because I know that these holes are dead center, front to back, watch this, copy. I just want one set of them, so that right there. So remember, that was the pick window. If I wanted to use the crossing window, copy, I need to get in here so I don't pick anything else and come back across them this way. Either one works fine. Hit enter. Now, pick the intersection of the center line and that surface as your base point. Come over here, find the midpoint, click. There it is. Okay. I know this doesn't follow hidden line conventions. This line should run into one, this dash should run into one of these dashes. Same thing here. If we were drawing by hand, we would fix that. But again, AutoCAD calculates this. So that's why you end up with something that looks like that. It's okay. All right, so that's how that's going to look. Now here's the one that everybody forgets on this drawing. The channel here, the slot, we can't see that in the top view. Everybody forgets this. So there's two ways of doing it. We're in the hidden layer. I could go into line. I could hover here and drag up a 1/2 inch because I know that's what my number is. Or I could use my miter line. So, you know, I can hover, drag up, click, drag across, and it would go right there. Okay? And then do the same thing with that one if I wanted to. Well, like I said, if your mind's working the way it should, you got your math in your mind. So it's a 1/2 inch from the front back to that slot. So line from the front, hover, come back, 0.5, and it goes all the way across. Don't lose sight. Don't start here and go to here. The slot goes from the far right edge to the far left edge. Okay? Get it in the right place. Now we need another one here. Very same distance. Mirror will work. Copy will work. You can use whatever you want to use. I'm just going to use this. I'm going to hover here, drag down, 0.5, all the way across, get my X. There we go. So there's the multi-view drawn. Let's get rid of our miter line. Okay? Pretty quick, pretty simple. Now let's dimension. So when we were dimensioning before on the single views, we dimensioned, you know, of course, where it's the clearest, always where it's visible. We make sure that we put our information together, work off common corners, all that good stuff. But the other thing when we do multi-views is we like to have dimensions between views whenever possible. So what's between views on 3? Well, here's between the top and the front. Here's between the front and the right side. Here is between the right side and the top. So we love to have dimensions here, 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 here if we can. But where's the features visible at? This one is visible in the front view, so our dimensions are going to have to be up here. This one is visible in the right side. Our dimensions need to be on the bottom. But let's work off of this corner instead of this one because it's closer to this view. Okay? Same thing with the holes. These holes are visible in the top side. Let's work off of this corner because that will work off of between the views. Yeah, we could do it here, we could do it here, we could do it here. But this is the more logical choice, okay? So let's do that real quick. Let's go into dimensions. Now we've got it in the dimension layer. So let's get busy with it. Let's go here. Let's do this slot first, linear. So I want to start here. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click here. And I'm going to drag up, okay? Get my spacing about right. There we go. Pretty good, okay? Remember, it's 3/8 of an inch. I've done this long enough that I know how far 3/8 is, but remember, roughly 3/8, that's an 1/8 tall. So there's one. There would be the second one. There would be the third one. So that's about 3/8 tall. It's actually just a little bit more, okay? But that's good. So now what we're doing is this slot. And people say, oh, you told me how big that is. That must be a size dimension. No, in this case, that's a location. This slot is over a 1/2 inch. Okay? Because people say, well, you've got 2 features in the front. No, I've really only got one because think about it. This is leftover. These 2 pieces are leftover. This is the feature because that's what we cut out. Okay? So let's keep going. Again, don't come down here. The highest corner to the highest corner. Now, where do we want it? Put it right there. Okay? Now, how come I didn't give this one? I don't need it. Remember, we always leave one dimension out when we're doing dimensions. So if there's 3 parts, 1, 2, 3, we're only going to do 2 of them. Then we're going to do what? We're going to give the overall. Okay? So that's what we need. So that's located left to right. That's considered the size. Okay? Now, how about up and down? Again, that's the location. Some people say it was size because that's the depth of the cut. Either one's fine, whatever you prefer to call. So where do we start? There, that endpoint, see where I'm at? Now, we want to start at this corner because that's the furthest corner to the right. Click, drag out. There we go, and drop it in. Now notice, we don't want these arrows overlapping and stuff like that. Try to leave a little gap here so that they just look cleaner if you do. Okay, so look, location, location, size. That feature's done. Nothing else to do. You know, while we're here, we might as well do this one because it's the exact same thing. It's just flipped from this. Okay, so let's do location and drag down. Let's do location and drag out. And let's do size. And of course, this is a chain, so I'll line these up. And notice I'm just using either the end point of the arrowheads or the end of the line or something to line up with. Okay? So there we go. Yes, there's 2 arrows stacked on top of each other. This is one of the few times I'll let you overlap stuff. It's okay. It won't print that way. All right? So look, location, location, size, location, location, size. That's done. All right? How about the holes? Let's locate them first. Location. So here, now don't forget, I want you to come to the quadrant. Okay? And click and drag down. Right there. Okay? That's located in 1.75. Is that right? Ooh. You say, wait a minute, it's 1.25. I did something wrong. No, 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 no. They drew it from the inside, but we have to locate it from the outside edge. Okay? So that 1/2 inch is added to the 1 1/4. That's why it's 1.75. So now let's locate, because these are similar features, they're both holes, there's nothing between them, we're going to locate between them here. And that's fine to do that. Now we never want to locate off this edge to this hole, because if we did, what if we made this just slightly too wide? Well, guess what? It's going to throw those holes that way. So always locate from a fixed edge. Okay? So that's those holes located left to right. Now let's locate them top to bottom. Click here, go to the quadrant, drag out. Hey, where do I want it? Line up with that one. Click right there. I don't need one over here because we drew that center line all the way across. They're in the same plane. Pretty cool, huh? Now we need the size of the holes. And remember, we need quantity. So where do I want to put that dimension? You typically put a leader, which is what it is. And a leader is a local note. In other words, you're pointing at it, you're touching it with your finger. Pretend like the arrowhead's your finger. You're touching it, saying, there's 2 of these with a diameter of 0.75. You want that close to this. We'd never want to draw a leader through a corner, like where that hidden line hits that. We would never draw it through the outside corner. We cannot cross a dimension line, so a line with a number in it. and we don't want to tuck it inside dimensions. So it either needs to be here or here, one of the two. Ideally, we would take it this way because that gets those numbers close together. But you may do that and see, wait a minute, I like it better up here. So I can either do it with a leader or I can do it with the diameter dimension. So I'm going to click on that. Now watch. Click, drag out, and again, we don't want to go through that. So we don't want it like here. We don't want it here. So our two options basically is here. That's getting kind of flat though as far as an arrow goes. Or we want it up here. It really looks better up here. Okay, we don't want to go through that line either right there. All right, if we do, we would do something like that, but I don't want to do that. So my choice is either here or here. All right, I kind of like it up here. So let's drop it in place right there. Now, we need our quantity. So how do we do that? Well, if you will double click on this, notice this all changed, okay? We went into text editor. See the flashing cursor? That means we're in front of that box. If we wanted to get rid of that information, we would just hit delete. But what we can do is we can hit 2. See, it leaves that. Now we need a capital X, because if you use lowercase x, you're going to get a symbol. Capital X and then a space. Now click out here. Don't hit enter, because if you hit enter, it'll give you another line of text. There it is. Okay? Now the neat thing about leaders, if you use the diameter or the radius dimension, look what? If I draw, I'm going to just draw me a line. I'm going to draw it from here down to the center line, midpoint of that. I did that on purpose. I'm going to move that now. I want to show you something. So I'm going to move this from here to the end of the arrowhead. So look, it automatically points this leader and it passes right through the center point. So if you use the diameter or the radius dimensioning tool, it'll do that. Okay? The other way of doing this is by using the leader tool. Now with a leader, we have to hand type everything in. So now the leader tool will let you point at anything you want, but it doesn't automatically go to the center like we need it to. So we have to start at the center. Okay? Now I'm going to draw this one a little bit steeper just so we can see what we're doing. So now I'm going to draw it up here and click. Now I'm in text mode. So I've got to have my 2. I've got to have my X. I need my space. Now I need the diameter symbol. Your GDT cheat sheet that I've gave you. Okay? If you look on that sheet, what letter equals the diameter symbol? Believe it or not, I'm going to cut my cap lock off. It's the lowercase n. There it is. Now, 0.75. And I'm going to click off of it, and it drops it into place. Yes, this diameter symbol is bigger than this one. That's okay. It's the way the font is written. The only thing I've got to do now is I need to click on this arrow. Now I need to grab that grip and drag it back to the X. So it is still pointing through the midpoint, but touching the edge of the circle. So that's how you do it if you use the leader. This is how you do it if you use the command. Okay? Let's just use the command. I wanted to show you that so you know what to do. All right, now what have we got left? Location, 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 size, and quantity. Location, location, size, location, location, size. We're done with that. So the only thing we need now is overall. Linear. I can do it here or I can do it here. You pick the one that's the cleanest. Most time we try to put it attached to the front view if at all possible. So there. We'll do the very same thing here for the height. There. Now how about depth? We'll put it here because we don't have anything down here. And I'm going to line up with that. And guess what, folks? That's done. Fully dimensioned. All features are located left to right, located top to bottom. Sizes are given, and we gave overall height, width, and depth. If you can answer all those questions yes, you're done. All right, give this a try. Have fun with it. I'll talk to you later.